Hi, this is Brandon from Talk Tech, back here again with another video. Today we're going to be doing an informal one. We're going to be installing Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Now, I struggled my first time trying to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and there was a few things that I ran into that I just, really wasn't sure what I was supposed to do in those instances. Now, we're going to be installing it here in a VM. The process is the same, if you're doing it on bare metal or, an actual system, laptop, whatever it is. But I'll be sharing some things as we're going through this with you based on the experience that I've had and just some things to make your life a little bit easier while you're installing the distribution. So make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end so that you catch all of that information. Now, I've got a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like this, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give the video a like if you like it, give it a dislike if you didn't like it. Also, let me know what you liked, didn't like, or have any questions down below in the comments. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So here we are on the opening screen of the installer, which for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and I believe Fedora as well, both use the Anaconda installer. Cool name. But here on this very first screen, you can see that it's going to give us options to select our language. It gives us a help option, and it gives us the name of the distribution. We're using Rocky Linux. You can use Rocky Linux. You can use Alma Linux. They're clones of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, but you don't have to worry about going through all the fuss of the licensing and stuff like that with the actual official Red Hat Enterprise Linux distribution. So we're going to go ahead and start by selecting our language. I am clearly an English speaker from the United States, so we're going to go ahead and select that. There's tons of them, so if you want to find your language, go ahead and scroll through there. And you're going to go ahead and hit continue. All right, and here you go. You're going to go to the second screen, which is the installation summary. So you can see here there's a couple of things that got these like little exclamations on them. So what that means is that these are things that are going to need your attention before you're able to go ahead and continue with the installation. Now, there's one thing that I want to point out here that's not showing an exclamation point, and that is the installation source. Now, I have installed both Rocky Linux and Alma Linux, and in both instances, I've experienced a situation where it fails to grab the closest mirror. And then what that in turn does is it causes the software selection to fail as well, software selection options to fail. So then you also get an exclamation point there. So I know you can't see what it's doing here, but I wanted to go ahead and show this to you, kind of how I managed to get myself around it. Like the way I did it is I went here, went to additional repositories, just added a new repository, went to done, and it's going to fail, which is actually, this is what it looks like when it fails. And actually, let me show you something here. We're going to go into, let's go into network. Let's come out of here. See, it says error setting up base repository. Then we can also see the installation source not set up. So we can see that we have the error here. So what you can do is you can come in here, go back in here, delete this, and then make sure you're on the network. And then it selects closest mirror, and then hit done. All right, and give it just a minute to go ahead and update. We'll go back to that. I just wanted to go ahead and update that. So yeah, there it goes. So just make sure that you have on the network selected and closest mirror. What I believe is happening is it's setting it up as auto detect installation media, and that's why it's not working properly. Now, the other thing that I have seen when installing Red Hat is the Ethernet is not automatically connected. So you'll have to go in here, you'll have it like this. You'll come in here and there's no IP address, there's no DHCP server, no gateway. Excuse me, I'm sorry. No nothing. So what you can do is just come in here and you would just go ahead and select this. And again, just as you have with these other ones, you would have the exclamation point down here indicating like, hey, dude, there's a problem here, because we need to be able to go ahead and go out and grab the packages that we need from the installer. Now, there are you could actually download an installation media and actually get the entire, all the necessary repositories that way and not have to worry about having to connect to the internet, but it's usually just easier this way. So that's the way that I like to do it. All right, and the next thing that we want to go ahead and do is let's go here and go into the installation destination. All right, so here we go. We've got our disk already selected here, but you can do an automatic um, setting up of the drive, partitioning of the drive, but that's gonna come with some issues. So this past weekend I actually ran into a situation where on my home server, I did not realize that for whatever reason, the installer thought that I needed 867 gigabytes in the home directory. Like that's where all of it was. They put the home directory in a separate partition and gave it 867 gigabytes of storage, which, honestly, like I don't really do a whole lot with my home folder, so I need to make maybe 50 gigs, maybe 100, if it's one that I'm using on a regular basis, but created problems, and I ended up accidentally nuking my server and having to reinstall everything from scratch, which sucked, but I managed to survive it. So I wanted to go through here and actually show you about doing an actual custom storage configuration. So let's go ahead and select custom. We're going to go up here to done, and we can see here that we've got available space and total space. So nothing has actually been partitioned yet. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go in here and select the boot partition. For this, you can really just put 512, and then we'll just do MIB for MB, and then go ahead and hit add mount point. All right, and the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go in here and we're going to want to select some swap. Now, this is like normally you'll want to put more, but I don't have a lot of RAM and storage for this one, so we're also going to just put 512 MB for this one. Oops. All right, add mount point. And now we're going to go ahead and go in here and add the root partition, this one right here. And keep in mind, this is a very basic configuration. I'm not intending to show you any complex configurations. That's stuff that you can do on your own. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll just go ahead and put the remaining 14 gigabytes. All right, and add mount point. Now, it's not uncommon for you to have some space because of the difference in, conversions between kilobytes, kilobytes, and bytes and kilobytes, and all that kind of stuff. So this is perfectly fine. This is perfectly acceptable. So we've got everything partitioned here. We've got our root, we've got our boot, and we've got our swap. I am not going to be creating a separate partition for my home directory, just because this is not something that I really care enough about to create a separate home directory on a temporary machine. So let's go ahead and hit done. All right, and accept all the changes. Perfect. All right, now the next thing that we have to do is we have to go ahead and take care of the root password. Now, if you set the root password by itself, you don't have to create a user. So we'll do both just for a completion's sake. Now let's go ahead here and set the root password. It is a very weak password, and you'll be able to tell because it's going to make me select it more than once. If it's making you select it more than once, it's a really weak password. And see here, now we've set the root password, so we don't need to do a user, but we'll do it anyway. Let's just do user, and then we'll do super secret password. All right. And one other thing, because this is something that may come up for some of you, is if you want to change the host name of the server, you can do that right here. Let's just put Rocky 9. And here we go. Let's go ahead and apply that. All right, and let's go ahead and come out of here. Yeah, and see now we've taken care of everything. Now I want to go over another aspect of this part. Is you see software selection. So you've got a couple of base environments that you can kind of go with, general basic setup. And under each individual basic setup, you've got a bunch of different options of things that you can add to that install. Typically, the way that I do it, because I don't really run these with graphical user interfaces, I usually just use the server here. And then if there's something here that I want, which I typically don't, I usually just install it myself once I get everything installed. I will select it here. So, and you've got tons of stuff you can see. You've got debugging tools, DNS, GNOME, network servers, basic web servers, all that stuff, minimal install if you really want to just keep it bare bones and stuff like that. So uh, this is going to vary depending on your own personal use case. I'm just going to select server. I'm going to click done, and everything here is pretty much done. If you need to go and fix anything, you can always go fix, keyboard, language, time and date, kdump, whether you want that enabled or not, security profile. I'm not going to be covering any of that stuff, but I just wanted to show you that you do have that option. So the next thing that you'll do is you'll go ahead and begin the installation. And this will take some time to complete. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, and then I'll go ahead and resume the recording once this part has finished. Because during this part, you're not going to be doing any kind of input or anything like that. You'll just be watching stuff move across the screen as it's going through its processes. All right, and there we go. We've got everything installed and we've got our reboot here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, we'll blow it up just to make sure the size stays appropriate. And there we go. Perfect. And we've got it going. And we can even just do a ping 8.8.8.8. And we can see networking's working and everything. Just IP address. And we'll do a hostname CTL. All right, we can see here, we've got our host name there at Rocky9. We've got everything here, updated kernel, everything is looking good. So yeah, that is installing Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So I really thank you very much for watching this video and have a great rest of the day.